What's the most WTF moment you've had at a party? The host got so drunk, he pulled his dead pet lizard out of the freezer, saving it to bury it in the spring, and showed it to everyone in the room. Then he started crying, threw up, pissed himself, and passed out. I have no idea if the lizard ever made it back to the freezer. New Year's party at a farmhouse. This guy I know has taken some illegal substance. He found a top hat and cape somewhere and was wearing them. He is having a bad trip and is just spiraling into a depression and fixating on death while being freaked out on his trip. So I take him outside to get him away from all the smoking and noisy drunks in the house. We step out on the dark porch, and for a minute he seems to be getting right when suddenly about 10 cows run by the porch. His eyes go wide and he runs away. The drunks in the party yell the cows are out, and they all start chasing the cows trying to round them up. But the cows are now smarter than the drunk people, so they were not doing a good job of it, and I never saw that guy again. I found the cape and top hat laying on the floor like he just vanished, and they fell straight down. I went to a bowling alley in grade 4 because that was the first birthday party I had been ever invited to. I was really excited because he was one of the popular kids. Come to the day that it was happening, I decided to wear a nice pink glittery shirt because glitter was really important in my life for some odd reason. I got to the bowling alley with the bag, and when I went to give it to him, I farted really loud out of excitement. Everyone looked over at me, and I immediately burst into tears. He told me it was okay and then proceeded to fart maybe 3 minutes after I did. That really comforted me, and we had a good time. Not really a party, a sleepover a few years back. I was probably 14 or 15. Some of the girls thought it would be fun to do some prank calls on various people, and we got a kick out of it for a while. Everything was going fine. We were all having fun and laughing. Then, one of the girls rings up a lady. I'm not sure if the girl knew this woman or not, but when she answers we did the classic, "Hello, this is Wendy's," or something along the lines of that. Then, get this, the lady starts naming every girl at the sleepover. We were all freaked out, and I don't think I've seen anyone hang up the phone faster. It was truly terrifying. Hosted a party in high school. Girl and a guy spent a bit of time in the bathroom. Not a huge deal. Went to use the bathroom and wash my hands after. The hand towel had a whitish, gooey, sticky substance on it. Took a closer look, and it was covered, like a disgusting amount. The backside of the towel was completely soaked. I didn't know a human could produce that much. I stepped out, and a buddy saw my face and began laughing. He knew exactly what I had found and laughed harder when he saw how much. He then informed me that the couple in there before accidentally broken one of the soap dispensers and used the towel to clean up the liquid soap. The liquid soap happened to be a near identical color to another substance that I had confused it for. I don't think I've ever felt so relieved in my life. So, these drunks were bonding, and somehow they decided that dude has a wart on his elbow that needed to be removed. Stat. In a manner consistent with world-class surgeons, they numbed the area with an ice cube from the half-melted tray on the counter. The next step was to carefully and delicately use wire cutters to slice off the offending growth. The wart came off easily with a roar from our dear drunk patient, and then a scream as he saw the absolutely ridiculous amount of blood gushing from the surgical site. They scrambled with towels and strategies. Surgeon Steve ended up slipping in the blood before it was over with. The kitchen looked like a damn murder scene, and I'm pretty sure I almost died laughing. A Halloween party that went down in infamy among our crowd. We were still in high school, and it was an out of control party. There were a few incidents but nothing serious until the father of the host caught one of our friends drinking from his personal stash. He chased the kid outside where the kid jumped a fence and vanished into the wilderness. My friend who hosted the party went looking for him. Ended up at another party where he pissed off the host, a mutual friend of all of us, but his crowd was the jocks. We were the outcasts and got beat. Then everyone from both parties gathered in the street figuring out what happened when my friend's dad came charging through the crowd and proceeded to lay another beating on the poor guy. So they brawl. Cops show up. We get my friend home. His dad stays back to talk to the police, and then my friend's mom, a crazy alcoholic who was on fine form that night, flipped out and stabbed him in the side. I ended up being the only person who stuck around through the aftermath. Friend ended up in the hospital. Parents paid hush hush money. Foreign country, lots of corruption, and not much came out of it. When I was in high school we used to throw bonfire parties out in the mountains. One night we were at a party where a fairly new girl in school, we can call her Carly, came to the party with some of her friends. Carly was not the brightest person that I have ever met, so we are hanging around the bonfire, having some beers, chatting it up, and listening to music. Suddenly Carly walks a few feet away and still in the sight of everyone, when she suddenly drops her pants, squats down and proceeds to take one of the biggest poops that we have seen in our lives. She didn't go into the woods, just did it right there by the fire. Some of us were speechless and some of us were laughing hysterically. I was a little of both. She didn't wipe either, just pulled up her pants and rejoined the party. Definitely a WTF moment. I threw an underage drinking party at my parents' house right after graduating 2001. One of my friends passed out on my parents' brand new beige leather couch. Partygoers started drawing penises and swear words all over his face with a Sharpie. He nearly woke up and then rolled over face down, so everyone gave up. About an hour later he wakes up and the marker had bled from his face onto the couch. I started freaking out and I tried every cleaning product or scrubber they had with no luck. Eventually I went to the garage for some stronger chemicals. Carb cleaner worked wonders on the marker. It took all of it off, as well as the finish on the leather. I realized I was screwed and tossed a couple pillows over it. My mom noticed it within 10 minutes of getting home. Needless to say, my parents were pissed. I was too old to be grounded and too poor to replace the couch. I just got to experience maximum disappointment, which is far worse. Eventually that couch was gifted to me. It was a farewell party for an exchange student. Where I live is quite rural, so where we all were was a farm of one of my best friends in high school. His dad was a very handy farmer and one year put together a Trebuchet in one of the paddocks. It truly is an awesome thing and we launched so much stuff with it, but our favorite by far was balls filled with methylated spirits lit on fire. They would be launched and cause a small explosion. As we got to about the third ball being launched we noticed Miles, the exchange student, had disappeared. Then when the ball hit the ground we saw this little sneaky Frenchman tried to catch a fireball and it blew up in his face. 200 meters and over 2 fences we sprinted to put him out, and luckily he was unharmed besides some singed hairs and lost eyebrows. A good times. Threw an after hours birthday party for a friend. Everyone from the bar was there, wall to wall people. I was drunk and thought I was seeing things. A baby, and I mean at least 2 months old, crowd surfing. I never sobered up so fast in my life. Someone almost dropped her and held her dangling by her arm, and I grabbed her and rushed her out of the crowd. Mom left her in her car seat by the door and went to smoke weed in the back room at 3 AM. I really don't know how long the baby was manhandled, but she just fell asleep in my arms. She was so tired. We just shut it all down, made everyone go home. It was appalling. In college my friends and I decided to throw a party in some woods right off of campus in a wooded area we had partied before on the edge of where the college ROTC did some training. We ended up having our core group of 10 or so people and maybe another 15 or 20 through the night around the bonfire, and all night I couldn't shake a weird feeling of being watched, and it was weirding me out to no end. I kept mentioning it to my friends, and they kept saying I was just being anxious, which wasn't uncharacteristic for me. Eventually I just couldn't take it anymore in me, and the only other person who felt something was off decided to head back to campus. For whatever reason I decided I didn't want to take the normal path, and went way off the path, and cut through some fields using the moonlight to guide us. When I finally got back to the apartment I was just hanging out when I happened to look out the window and saw almost a dozen police cars sitting behind some trees next to the road near the path going up to where my friends were partying. I used the apartment phone to repeatedly try calling the only cell phone at the party, but none answered. Everyone there ended up getting charged in some manner, some for providing alcohol to minors, since some of them were a year shy of legal age. This one is crazy. I was in the Marines at the time. I had never partied in high school due to strict parents. and had started partying quite often, including hosting and attending random parties. This girl I think I met on Tinder invited me to her birthday party. It was kind of in the ghetto meets suburbs, and found out it was her mom's place. I didn't know anyone else there, but I made light talk with some of the other guys at the party. Everything was going well, until I guess the mom's car keys got stolen. So we all started searching the house for the keys. We all suspended someone had stolen the keys. About 20 minutes go by with no keys, and I found a corner to see the mom punch her daughter square in the mouth. It was an impressive punch. The daughter then screamed at the mom, and it turned into an all-out brawl until the close friends broke it up. Yeah, safe to say there would be no cake. We were two 11-year-old girls. I was staying over at her house in the country next to a cemetery. She told me casually that her house is haunted by several ghosts. I didn't take her too seriously. She showed me these long, deep scratches in sets of 3 on the furniture in her room, made by ghosts, she says. Sure, she says she can see the ghosts. One is in front of us right now. I pretend to see it, too. It's fun. After going to bed, the king-sized bed lifted up and down. The blanket was pulled into the air above me. She said a ghost under the bed was sticking its long fingers through the mattress and into her back. In the morning there were fresh scratch marks on her back where she couldn't reach, and the same marks in the dust on the bedside table next to me. I don't joke about spooky stuff anymore. Went to a house party when I was in my late teens and the early 2000s. There was the usual drunken things happening. People puking in sinks and all that, but the highlight of the night was these 3 guys getting into a heated argument. It started in the kitchen. I have no idea what over. These 2 friends, one tall lanky one, and one shorter slightly chubby one, were arguing with a Hispanic guy. It gets progressively more and more heated before people eventually intervene and try to get everyone to chill. Everyone splits off, and things proceed as normally for a good half an hour. At that point a huge ruckus is coming from the backyard. A bunch of us funnel outside to see that the 3 guys are back at it, and this time it's come to shoving and just hurling insults. No one outside is bothering to defuse the situation this time, and so it quickly escalates. It happened quick, but the 2 guys figured they had the upper hand given there's 2 of them, so they threw the first blows. The Hispanic guy proved them wrong quickly however, and was easily beating the crap out of these 2 by himself, and I mean beating the crap out of them too, giving it to them. By now people are actually trying to break this up, because they are worried about the police being called. But it's like a cartoon tornado of limbs flying. It's progressively moving closer and closer and closer back into the house. There's people yelling, jeering, and gawking outside, inside the kitchen, and even people hanging out the windows from the 2nd floor cheering. Absolute chaos. They get pressed up against the back door, which is a glass sliding door, and the short, chubby guy gets knocked over into a little garden area surrounded by a small wall of bricks that he tripped over while backpedaling. I guess seizing the opportunity, the Hispanic dude kicks the lanky guy square in the gut. Like a big boot, this is Sparta style kick. The guy kind of folds over and lunges backwards right into the glass door. He hits it hard with his shoulder and elbow and just goes right through it. At this point people inside and outside are screaming at the top of their lungs. There's blood and potting soil all over the patio concrete. The Hispanic dude's nose is gushing blood, and he has a deep looking cut above one of his eyebrows that's already swelling up. The chubby dude is on his knees in the garden spitting out blood and even a tooth, as we found out later. And the lanky guy is sitting up amidst a sea of shattered glass in the kitchen now, and there's a huge gash in his arm right above the elbow that's bleeding profusely. People are panicking and absolutely losing it, and we know at this point someone has to have called the police. So I find my friend I arrived with, and we promptly get the hell out of there. Neither of us drove then, so we just literally ran away and into the woods towards home. Lol. The cops did of course get called. We could see the flashing of the sirens as we made our way through the woods. They came in with them silenced though. I have no idea what happened to the guys who fought though, because I didn't know them. It was a wild night.